Hi guys. Like I said, ma'am introduced me. I'm Sarang Ravindra, and I was in PES between 2017 and 21. I just graduated. This is just a quick biodata about me. I worked as a back-end engineering intern at Confluent, and now I'll be joining them in the UK as a site reliability engineer. Why am I here today? I just want to have a quick informal chat about my engineering journey. Nothing formal about it. Just talk through how I went through my engineering and how I went through my interview experience and actually what led me to reach where I am now. Don't worry, it's nothing special. I'm just one of you guys who just happened to do few things differently than what the rest of my batchmates did. About my engineering, I'll be speaking about things that worked out for me, things that I did well, things that I could have done better, and a few insights that I have for you to help you uh, basically be better than what I was when I finished engineering. Few things that worked out for me was curiosity. When I say curiosity, basically I started exploring few things very late into my course, maybe after second year. Uh, so I started dipping my toes into few things, a lot of things, and I figured out what I liked, what I didn't like, and basically that helped me get some exposure into the vast field that actually is computer science because there's a lot of things in this field, and figuring out what you like actually is the toughest part about this course in my experience. I used to follow a lot of tech-oriented social media on channels like YouTube, Reddit, Discord, and Binary Search. I was most active on Reddit. I used to follow a bunch of subreddits which used to have interesting insights about the things that I wanted to do. I also had a good theoretical understanding. I say theoretical because I didn't have any hands-on experience with any of this apart from what was part of the syllabus. I had whatever was in the lab and in the textbook. I had a pretty good understanding of that subjects like data structures, algorithms, operating systems, networks, and cloud. But apart, I just had a good theoretical understanding. And why I say theoretical is because people assume when I say good understanding, they think I'm sort of a Linux expert or like I can spin up graph algorithms like at the back of my palm, things like that. No, I was pretty much stuck to the textbook, and I had just a good fundamental understanding of core CS. This is where I felt like I could have used my time in university better. I felt like I could have gone above and beyond the syllabus much earlier into my course. Like, say, there's so many things I could have done on top of what university provides. At the end of the day, university is bound by a syllabus, and they also have their limitations as to what they can and cannot deliver in class because of strict timelines. But what you as a student can do, or what we as students could do, is go above that and just not be limited to the uh, ISAs and ESAs that we have. Just go above and beyond what is given to us and sort of uh, get exposure to things that university can't deliver because of strict timelines that they have to follow. On top of that, I would have loved to get hands on with various software specializations early on. What I mean by that is there's so many things in CS. There's ML, there's cloud, there's blockchain, there's countless specializations, and they're like entire courses, 4 credit courses dedicated to each of those. But before those courses happen to you, if you were to get some exposure about what they're about, build a few projects, watch a few courses, follow YouTube personalities. Like for example, blockchain. There are so many blockchain projects coming up. Machine learning is endless now. Just get some exposure, see what you like, see what you don't like. That way, when you choose your electives, when you do projects, when you choose your final year projects, you'll have some clarity, and you can start to build your profile in a direction that looks attractive to people who are actually viewing it and they want to hire you. Just build stuff and publish it. Why I've written that is, so I used to have this thing where, let's say we had a project to build one of the projects that we had was our WebTech 1 project, where we just had to build a small website. Very easily, I could have just hosted it somewhere and just published it out to the open world. But I always kept saying, "Oh, it's just HTML and CSS. Everybody writes HTML and CSS. Everybody writes JavaScript. Why should I? Why am I so different?" But that's something that actually crippled me in a sense that I always kept doubting myself. And whatever I built, I always thought that maybe it's not good enough. It doesn't deserve to be put out there. But never feel like that. Whatever you build, just put it out there. Build a good Git profile, because you have to start somewhere. If you keep waiting to get good, you will never be able to put out things out there, and you will never have a profile to show people. And just like artists, we as coders and like developers also have a portfolio in our Git profiles. And if they see nothing on it, they have nothing to gauge you with. Instead, if they see your evolution as a developer over 2 years, like you build something bad, okay, everybody knows it's bad. You put bad stuff out, but then you keep getting better and you keep putting good stuff out as well. So people who are watching your GitHub profile can see you improve. They see you scale the learning curve, and that looks a lot more convincing to them rather than just you putting cool projects which they don't know. You might have scammed as well, right? You might have just taken your friend's project and put it up on your GitHub. They have no way of finding that out. But if they see you evolve as a developer and evolve as a coder, that gives you a lot more leverage in interviewers' eyes. Build a social media presence, very, very important. I believe everybody must do this. Write blogs, create YouTube channels, make tutorials, and these can be, like I said, very trivial. You can write a tutorial on how to make a Stack Overflow post. You may think, okay, that's a pretty stupid thing to make a tutorial about, but believe me, my brother is one of the top contributors to Stack Overflow, and he's a front end and he's a full stack developer. The most viewed article and the one with most stars is him written how to center a div. That is the most trivial thing you'll come across when you're writing HTML and CSS, but that's the thing that helps people the most. And if you have things that like that to your name, you will look a lot better to the community rather than just some student who does like stick to your courses, build projects and things like that. Everybody start blogs, document your learning, create YouTube channels, make tutorials. You may think, oh, there's no time for all this. How do I manage time? Trust me, if you really want to, all of this can be done like over the weekend, like over a cup of tea. You can write a blog, make a YouTube video, make tutorials, things like that. Please build social media presence, look attractive. That's what all of this is aimed at. Just look attractive to people who view your profile. It's very tough for interviewers to filter you out based on your academics and your projects, because a lot of people are doing that. But if they see you as a brand, and if they see you and if they see what you bring to the table, you will be a very easy hire. Even if you don't do that well in your interviews, if they see what you bring to the table in terms of blogs, your social media, your CV and things like that, you'll be a very, very easy hire. Competitive programming, I stopped after my data structures course. I regret that even now. Hackathons, there were so many hackathons in college. We have the Innovation Labs hash code. We have Prakalpa as well. Prakalpa is not exactly a hackathon, but it's kind of like one for us in that sense. Intel visited campus for their driverless car hackathon. I didn't take part in that. I didn't take part in anything, and I feel really bad because all these things add to your profile in some way or another. Open source. Why I say open source is because open source is a good way to get visibility within the community. If you do good work in open source contributions, you will be called up by somebody who works on the product. Or, for example, take Confluent. Confluent works on Apache Kafka, and they closely monitor open source contributions by the community. And I've noticed this whenever people make meaningful contributions, discussions happen within to see if there could be a possible hire as well. So if you get the chance, please contribute to open source, and it could be anything. It doesn't have to be major feature delivery to existing software. It could be just simple documentation fixes, because that's what people do. I've noticed this. They just write documentation fixes and put open source contributor on their LinkedIn profile or things like that. And that really helps because no matter how trivial or how small your work is, it helps the community, and helping the community will pay off in the future. Coming to resources and few things that I used while upscaling myself, these are pretty cool websites. There's a website called Roadmaps. It looks a bit like this. So anything that you want, I don't see ML Engineer on this yet, but I hear is upcoming. But these are certain roadmaps that the community has written for you to figure out what it takes to be one of these. So if you were to open backend engineering, you see, there's a there's a clear and defined path that you have to do. Some of this covered by your syllabus, some of it not, and resources for all of this are available online. Just you can go through webs. I went through a website like this to find out what I needed to do to be a good engineer, and this really helped because I was completely directionless. Um, I would suggest you go through this website and see what you like and what you don't like. Free Code Camp, many of you must have heard of it. They offer, like I said, they offer. It's like the name says, it's free, and they have so many tutorials on subjects spanning topics. For example, you have a database administration course, you have a front end course, you have a back end course, you have a machine learning course, a blockchain. You name it, Free Code Camp has it, and before you choose to spend on courses, I suggest you flip through websites like FreeCodeCamp and see if they have tutorials and see if you like it first before spending. The Odin project, a beautiful website. It's completely free again. They have a roadmap to be a full stack developer. That's something I used and it helped me so much. CS50 is the Harvard course, the computer science course. They have like basically the 4 years course. It's free until December 2021. So side by side, when they cover courses for you in college, you can side by side refer to what Harvard has to say about it and get good at it. MIT OpenCourseWare, literal gold mine. I came across it very late in my engineering, and I feel really bad about it because nobody was there to tell me about it. It has anything. The courses on ML are amazing. The courses on cloud are amazing. Algorithms are really good. So check that out. Basically, explore. These are just few things that I came across. There may be so many more better resources, but basically explore and don't stop learning. YouTube channels to follow. There are a lot of tech YouTube channels. Follow blogs, podcasts, read documentation. This may seem like a bit much, but like if you just do it like how we watch Netflix, before you know it, you'll be better than the rest of the crowd. Few more I would say is get good with core CS. By core CS, I mean networks, operating systems, and cloud. Everything comes back to your how well you know those. So I've had friends who are really good coders, much better than me, but they simply were not able to answer interview questions because of how their fundamentals had gaps in things like OS, CN, and networks and cloud. Have one object-based or oriented language in your toolkit. I heard from ma'am that you have Java. That's pretty good. When we were learning, we didn't have it as part of our syllabus. There were only electives, and I didn't choose it. But learning, being able to design in an object-oriented manner will give you the edge over a lot of people. So please get good with one object-oriented language in your toolkit. Be very comfortable with Linux. I would say Linux, Unix-based operating systems. Be very comfortable with them and Git because nobody will teach you this. When you land your job or when you take freelance projects or something, you are expected to know this. You are expected to be able to handle yourself when it comes to Linux administration or Git, and nobody will give you time to be like, okay, let me go learn this and come back. You are expected to know this. I didn't, and honestly, I found it pretty hard early on in my job at Confluent because everybody would just be like, do this command, do that command, and I had to go Google, oh, what does this command do? And I felt really stupid because I wasn't really comfortable with it. And just keep learning. Please don't stop. Don't do what I did. My engineering life was basically wait till 1 week before the ISA, learn, do very well in the ISC, then forget it. Wait till the ESA, do very well in the ESA, then forget about it. I never put effort into improving myself until it was too late. And I'll come to why I say too late. So keep learning. You're still fourth sem. You have a lot of time to build your profile. Just do something and keep learning. You can build stuff, freelance websites, build your own personal website, watch courses, YouTube, Reddit, Discord, read stuff, documentation, blogs, what other people have to say. Just never stop learning. Coming to my interview experience, this is the interesting part for me because it was a roller coaster ride. So I'll be covering how I went about my interview prep, few resources that I used, and a few insights into the process as usual. Here are a few statistics from my off-campus applications. I applied to more than 80 companies. Only 10 of them got back to me. And out of that 10, I failed 6 interviews and I had 4 offers. So that gives you a success rate of 5%. It's pretty disheartening if I were to tell you like this, but uh, trust me, it gets pretty easy on if you just, it gets pretty easy later on if you just build a good profile. Like this success rate is like this because I didn't do any of what I told you to do just now. So it was a lot easier for me to appeal to people who are viewing my resume and my profile because they didn't see anything impressive. Like they were like, "Huh, this guy just looks like thousands of others have applied to this job. Why should I choose this guy?" So that's why don't get disheartened by the success rate. I'm pretty sure you guys are a lot smarter than me, and you guys will do much better than me. So this was a pretty rough timeline of uh, what happened to me in my placements. My first placement test was in August. I remember in July, Jawahar sir gave an address along with VC sir, and he said, "Okay, your placements are coming up. Your August 2nd is your first test." And the first company that came was App Dynamics. I think they were offering 40 lakhs plus or something like that. And everybody was like, "Oh wow, 40 lakhs, 40 lakhs!" Like everybody wanted it for obvious reasons. So I was thinking, okay, I am reasonably good at data structures and algorithms. This should go well for me. I wrote that test, and I'll be very honest with you, there were two coding tests, and I answered exactly zero. By zero, I mean none of the test cases passed. So you have generally how it works is you have like an online judge, and they evaluate your code against test cases. Zero test cases passed in both questions. It was a really bad test. It hit me like a train, and that's when I figured, okay, turns out I don't know data structures and algorithms as well as I'd like to know. So I started to do lead code. For me personally, lead code premium is worth it. Simply, I'll come back to that in a while. I started lead coding. I got a little bit better around September. I was still flunking tests, but I was able to pass a few test cases. At least it wasn't as bad as the App Dynamics test. Sometime around October is when, out of desperation, I started applying to off-campus companies in the European Union. There were a few companies I applied to: Palantir, Databricks, Amazon. These were the few companies I applied to. So, and now I was pretty good because I used to code with my second bench friends. We had like a group on WhatsApp, and we used to code together online. Because of that, I actually started clearing coding rounds now. But the face-to-face interviews again, I was flunking pretty badly because I didn't know what was in store for me. But by November, with sufficient experience and sufficient failures under my belt, I was able to get the first offer, which was the Confluent internship. They visited campus, and even after the internship, even after this offer, the good thing that I did was I continued lead coding. And sometime around December, I had my Amazon third round of interviews with Amazon, and in January, I had my face-to-face interviews with Amazon, and I cleared the Amazon interviews in January as well. So, continuous coding on platforms like LeetCode helped a lot, and programming with friends also helped a lot. So this was roughly the roller coaster ride that happened, like from horribly flunking my first test to actually landing um, a job in a company like Amazon. I honestly was not expecting it to happen, but I guess if anybody does this kind of work, offers will come flowing. Not to worry. Yeah, these are some of the resources that I used when it came to preparing for interviews. I bought LeetCode Premium because there are a lot of features on it which help in preparing for interviews. For example, you can sort on frequency of basically you can sort problems on how frequently they appear in interviews, so you can optimize the way you prepare. I would say stick to one. I stuck to LeetCode. I preferred LeetCode over Code Forces or HackerRank or HackerEarth. I just like the features that LeetCode had to offer. Binary Search is a very cool website. 10 on 10 would recommend. Just go check it out. It's a collaborative coding website where you and your friends can join a room and all of you get the same coding question, and it's sort of like a mini code wars where you can just see who solves it first and then you can discuss. It has an inbuilt voice chat feature also now, so it's like basically it's online gaming except it's coding. It's pretty fun. System design also very important, but system design, if you know your cloud and your operating systems and networks well, system design will come naturally to you. Not many companies ask system design in interviews. Mostly it's object oriented design, but the good ones will expect you to have some knowledge. So they may ask you to design a system to sum up millions of integers, and if you don't have your fundamentals right, it's tough to answer questions like that. All of these are linked here. I will share this presentation with ma'am so you have access to it as well. You can check all these resources out, and yeah, you can use them to your benefit. Some insights I had about this is, like I said, set yourself apart, build a brand for yourself. Don't be everybody else. Don't wait to get wrecked by your first placement test. Keep in touch with your competitive programming. Keep in touch with your whatever you learn in terms of your syllabus, like operating systems and computer networks. Uh, Keep solving problems, and use every resource that you have at your fingertips, university and outside. Um, and don't even worry about what it may look like when you apply for jobs. Just throw your resume at them. If you see a job that you like, what I did was, so I went up to these angel investing websites, something like Crunchbase. I saw the top 100 startups that I liked, and I just threw my resume at them. I was not expecting a call back. I just threw my resume at them, and some of them decided to call me back. And that's what I did differently compared to my peers. Uh, I just thought, hey, why not? Why can't I just apply? And this is what actually got me the job. And you guys should be like this as well. Never doubt yourself. No matter what you do, just apply to jobs, and you never know what can happen after that. So these are my 2 cents on what I would have done if I had the chance to redo my engineering. If there's any questions, you can ask me now, or you can mail me at the email ID here.
Anybody have any questions? You can unmute and ask.
Yeah, hi Sarang. I just had one question. Which language did you emphasize on? Like while lead coding, was it Python, C, C++?
So when it came to solving interview questions, I use Python because for me, Python is a language I was very comfortable with it, and it's very easy to put your thoughts out there while coding. So I use Python for my interviews.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any myths to burst? Like paths which are actually which people recommend to you, but technically it's not useful.
Sorry.
Like some paths, maybe I'm just guessing. Like marks are really important. I don't know. Just saying. Do you have any myths to burst?
I mean, see, when it comes to campus placements, it doesn't hurt to have a good GPA. I mean, I just wanted to keep it above 9 so that I am eligible for all interviews. That was my thing. But like your marks, once you get the interview, they don't matter. Only your skills and your brand matters. That's what I have to say. But yeah, don't let your academics drop because you never know when you might need it. Let's say you decide to apply for masters, and some colleges require like this GPA. So marks, at the end of the day, dude, we study in India, so marks are always important. So don't let that suffer.
I would like to add there, Sarang. In all the entry places, everybody knows marks are not important, but marks do convey certain things. It talks about your discipline, your way of understanding subjects, your learning path, your entry criteria. In all such places, marks are important. And many companies do expect a GPA in excess of 9. So you should not be losing an opportunity. See, if I am asked to send 2 students for, like, let's say they expect me to recommend 2 students to a company, then obviously many students would apply. So, I mean, how do I filter them at the first instance? Subsequently, I can take a look at resume, but I need to filter them. So your first cut will be based on the marks, and that's why we insist on that.
So marks are what get you the interviews and the entrances, and beyond that, it's all on you. So don't be in a situation where you aren't eligible because of your marks. It's a very sad place to be because I've seen many people who are really smart, but they simply were not able to take up interviews because of their CGPAs.
What crazy different thing did you do which got you into a record breaking salary? How do you even get that? What did they see in you?
What did they see me? Yeah, so like I said, so I built a brand around myself. So I sold myself well. Like even though my resume was not that impressive, when I actually spoke to them and it like I explained my projects, talked them through, they were pretty impressed. And what I did differently was I just took that risk and I applied to a lot of companies where people didn't. They stuck to campus placements. So that was an extreme step that I took. And that step didn't come because I planned it all along. I was so desperate because I was not getting placed. So I just decided to like, okay, what have I got to lose? And that's what set me apart. I say this because I didn't get many callbacks because my resume was not that impressive. But once I did get the call and I had someone to talk to about myself with, that's when I actually had the opportunity to sell myself as a developer.
Up to what extent data structure and algorithms help you in interviews?
Very important. Very important. I would say because we are freshers, they don't really have any other way to judge us. We don't have work experience, so we don't have anything under our belt for them to judge us with. So the only thing they can judge you on is your data structures and algorithms. You have to be solid, no doubt about it. And when I say solid, I don't mean like you know all algorithms, you know how to make a prims, spanning tree or things like that. You should be able to code it in as well. Because when you take up interviews, there'll be a 15-minute timer you're staring at you in the face, and you should be able to put those algorithms into code like this and be able to explain it to the interviewers. That's where it's important.
How did you stay consistent with lead code during exams also?
Uh, so that's where I lucked out a bit. So for me, exams were cancelled. But I would say it helps to code with friends rather than coding alone because it really helps you take your mind off things. Coding with friends gives you that it doesn't feel like you're coding just for the sake of interviews. It's more like you're having fun with your friends, and it's more like we had like races and things, and we had stakes, sort of like a mini poker game while coding, things like that. So it helped to code with friends. That's what helped me stay consistent. If I was coding alone, I doubt I would have been able to stay consistent, but I had friends to throughout the process.
Some companies don't allow to code in Python. They have C, C++, and Java as of now. Did you lose out on companies like that?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, many questions. See, many companies, if you code in Python, they give you only a testing role. Not that it's a bad thing, but it wasn't something that I was looking for. So, in sometimes your coding language limits what you can and cannot do. That's why I stress that have one language like C++ or Java under your belt, because it doesn't. Some companies they say that okay, he coded in Python, so let's just give him some automation role or something like that.
Which subjects help you more in interviews, like computer networks, operating system? The subjects are there now. Which subjects help you most?
I think I'm not sure how the course structure is for you guys, but for me, the subjects in my fifth sem mainly OS, CN, and cloud. These three help quite a bit. I think you might have. I'm not sure if you've already finished it, but if you have, go back and get good at it again because that helps a lot.
In lead code, like were you solving easy and medium level questions or the harder ones?
So I just, like I said, I sorted by the top 100 most frequent one. Doesn't matter whether easy, medium, or hard. But the split in general is like out of 100 questions, 25 easy, 50 medium, 25 hard. That used to be. That's how the split usually is in interviews, as well. Like it's mostly like it's like a bell curve. So most interview questions fall in the medium range, But some companies, like if you were to take up the Google interview, obviously it would go towards the hard range as well. What I did was I didn't want to do the lead code grind, solve hundreds of problems. I just solved the top 120 most frequent problems, and that gives you some exposure and visibility into how problems are generally set. Other problems are mainly variations on those.
Or did you change your resume while applying to different companies and made it different?
Very good question. Forgot to speak about that. Yes, very important. Whatever company you apply to off campus, it's very important to go through their website, see what they're about, and tune your resume and cover letter for to make it look like you are fit for that role. Because one resume is not the answer to all companies. If you're applying to a streaming company, you may want to include projects that you've built in that space, and in a cover letter, you may want to write about what you bring to the table in the streaming company and things like that. Very important. You have to tune your resume to companies you apply for. So have like a few drafts for every path you want to take. Have a resume for that path, and if any company hires for that, tune a little bit depending on what the company requires, and then submit it to them. Good question.
If there are no more questions, I would like to extend my thanks to Sarang for taking his time out from his busy schedule. Thanks, Sarang, and keep in touch. Wish you all the best.
There seemed to be a question on the chat.
Okay. No, that was.
What do I think about masters? Maybe I'd like to get a few years of work experience under my belt before I choose. It's on my mind. I definitely want to study ahead, but I would like to get some years of work experience first. That gives me some, so I get some clarity about what I want and don't want to do. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks, guys, for being patient. And if you have any questions, please feel free to drop an email. There is another question. Sorry. On campus versus off campus. Okay. So the question is, can you elaborate more on your experience of on-campus placements versus off-campus placements? Off-campus placements are much harder than on-campus because, like on-campus, literally the companies come to you and they have a fixed JD to hire from, and you're obviously eligible to appear for interviews. Off-campus, on the other hand, you have to go to the companies and prove that you're worthy of a hire. So that's a whole lot harder to do than on-campus. But like I said, so if you build a personality and a brand around yourself by putting out good projects on your Git profile, off campus also will become very easy. Did you do any internship during 3 years? No. Big regret. Actually, I didn't clear the summer internship interviews because for obvious reasons I wasn't good at DS and Algo. But I would have definitely loved to do that because having internship experience would be like an official sign off that you are worthy to work in a formal environment. I heard you were a 6-month intern in Confluent before you got the job. Did that make any difference? Elevate your chances? Yes, of course. The whole reason I got the offer in London was because I interned with Confluent, and I networked within the company, and I used the Amazon offer that I had in Luxembourg to negotiate the offer in London. So yes, the internship was a big plus for me in Confluent. Competitive programming covers difficult topics, and space complexity is not a very big deal there. I'm sorry, I think I missed the question, Aniket. How important is it to get a solid internship in third year in order to get good placements? You can do without it, but it's a big plus point to have it. If you don't have an internship in third year, I'd suggest you spend that summer in building your profile, do some good projects, or take a few courses in college. So I think there were a few interesting summer courses also which I didn't do and I regret. So just do something to get better over that summer, because you need something to give you the edge over people to actually have internships. What projects did I do? The first project I did when I entered the department was was under Shailaja ma'am. We actually built a leave management system for the CS department. That was a pretty interesting project. One other project was we built a machine learning model that generates HTML code if you show a picture of the website. My capstone project was again using machine learning to determine the raga of a classical piece. And the coolest project of mine was our WebTech 2 project. We built Kubernetes compliable data analytics platform. So you could upload your sort of like a Tableau. I don't know if you've heard of Tableau. It's a Tableau web app which on top of which you can fit neural networks. So that was pretty cool. How important is web or app development knowledge for interviews? Is it necessary to have a basic knowledge of it? It doesn't hurt to be full stack, is what I say. It's good to have a knowledge about web and app development, because at the end of the day, you're going to be doing one of those when you enter the job. Don't worry about which language or which frameworks to pick up, because if you pick up one well, you can always pick up the others. But yes, I would recommend having some development knowledge before you enter a job. How different is competitive programming from coding rounds? Competitive programming covers difficult topics and space complexity is not a very big deal there. But in coding round, they want very optimized solutions and covers topics like linked list not used in CP. I would say the fact that they want very optimized solutions is a myth. Because like I said, like if they give you a question and you spit out the most optimized solution, they're going to think, okay, this boy is just mugged up. Like he just knows the optimal solution anyway. What's important in coding interviews is being able to talk through your code, being able to communicate, and being able to walk through your solution and convince the person interviewing you that you know your fundamentals right. So it doesn't matter. Like if something can be done in log n, it's okay if you do it in linear time, as long as you explain your understanding of your algorithm and make sure it works properly. Optimality, some companies do look for it, but it's not always what they want. So you need to get a feel of it. They may ask you, like, okay, can you come up with a better way to do this? Then you can come up with a better solution. But don't always think optimality is the key to clearing interviews. Since some of us are mostly doing ML and computer vision based projects and not web tech, for SDA or SW rules, is it required to do web based project Monstack rather than ML? Even for your ML projects, it's better to have them published on a website or have basically APIs exposed. Stop me if what I'm saying. Stop me if you don't understand what I'm saying. But it's better for ML projects also to have APIs exposed where people can test it out. Because I've seen many people just have Jupyter notebooks to their profile and they call themselves data engineers or ML engineers, and that makes no sense, because actual ML engineering is putting those models and projects that you develop into production, and for that you will need to have some knowledge about app development and web app development. ML projects that you build, put them up online. There's a framework called Streamlit. Check it out. That helps you build a portfolio around ML as well, because a lot of people just have Jupyter notebooks and that does not help. Put your ML projects also online on your either your portfolio or a Streamlit website, something like that. How important is soft skills, club activities, extracurriculars, etc.? Does it add to your brand? Yes, it does. More than extracurriculars, soft skills matters. Your ability to communicate and basically work with people also matters. So, for example, Amazon has these things called leadership principles that are part of their interviews. So they ask you things like, can you give me a time where you had to do active conflict resolution within your team? So things like that, your soft skills come into play. Club activities, extracurriculars, they don't speak much about what you bring to the table to the company, so it's not as important. But some companies do appreciate like a well-rounded person rather than a unidirectional one. What are the best sites that you would recommend to apply for the companies websites, their career sites? A better way to do it would be to find a company that you like, build a portfolio in that direction. You guys have a lot of time. You still have 2 years left. Reach out to recruiters on LinkedIn, reach out to senior developers on LinkedIn in that company, show them your profile, show them your projects that you've done, and they will get you in. The easiest way to get into a company is through a channel like a recruiter or a senior engineer. And it's easier to appeal to them because they know what their company goals are, and they will be very happy to welcome someone with relevant experience. Rather than, so what I did was, I didn't have a choice. So I just had to put my resume on the online portal. And obviously, like they have algorithms that filter out resumes that look and mine looked pretty much like so they did not choose mine. But in the cases where I actually approached people on LinkedIn or through their mail, showed them the kind of projects that I built, that's when I actually got callbacks. I've never used websites like Naukri and things like that, so I can't vouch for them. But a better way would be to build your profile and then approach senior engineers or recruiters. Do companies usually offer web dev roles, or roles like data analyst are also offered on campus? There are, I mean, I've seen JDs that say data analyst, job descriptions that have data analysts in them, but I don't actually know what actually happens once they enter the company, because that happens as well. So many times the JD will have something, but once you actually join the company, you may be assigned to a team that does something else. Data analyst roles are also common, but keep in mind, data analyst is not what you may think it is. If you think it's cool data science work and like building models and things like that, more often than not, it's not like that. Those kind of roles are usually offered to people with more experience. So don't be disheartened by that. I'm not saying that you can't land a role like that. It just takes some more effort for them to give a fresher that role rather than someone with experience. What do you mean about system design, as there is no subject named system design in our campus? Yeah, so system design, what I mean is, so sometimes interviewers ask you, so they ask you one question. So they say, can you design Netflix, or can you design Uber, or can you design something like your Twitter feed? So that employs a lot of computer science concepts, things like, and cloud concepts like API servers, load balancers, caching, databases, memory. It's all basically your entire CS course is a system design preparation. Everything that you learn, like in database management, whatever you learn, your OS, whatever you learn, your CN, whatever you learn, your cloud, all of that comes together in system design interviews when they say something like, can you design Google, or can you design the Google search engine? Which programming language did you use in coding around? Python. Why did you get into Confluent through on campus? Yes, Confluent internship was on campus. Is it true that data science roles are low in number compared to SDA roles? For freshers, yes. For freshers, people generally don't offer data science roles because there are people with like a very heavy statistics background that obviously would be a better choice than you. But if you, like I said, anything can happen if you build a good profile. You never know who you may impress. Is it beneficial to have a specialization certificate in any field? If you're talking in terms of the specialization that college offers, yes, it would be better to have a specialization because you have university vouching for you, and that would be a good plus point to have. Could you please share the link of your online portfolio just to get an idea of how well it is to be written or built? Yeah, so I'm in the process of building that myself. I figured I just didn't get the time throughout my internship to build it. Once it's done, definitely I will send it over. How important is GPA for on and off campus placements? On campus, like I said, don't be filtered out. Be well above 9 and don't miss out on interviews. I think the minimum GPA that I've seen this time was 8.8. I think Microsoft had the highest one, I think, for us. So yeah, but to be safe, on the safer side, don't let it drop below 9. I mean, it's not that hard as well. But if it's already, if it's below 9, don't get disheartened as well. Like I said, if you build a good enough profile, you never know who you'll impress, and they may just give you that break. Just a fun question. What podcast did you listen to or would you recommend? So there were a few podcasts by companies like Databricks and Confluent that gave updates about the latest tech that they have in place. Podcasts from people like Clement. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. There are people on YouTube. Brad Travers is one who's into web dev. Hussein Nasser is someone who explains everyday CS concepts. Things like, yeah. So these are few things that I listen to in my free time. Did you get any other campus offers? What made you decide to reject them? Campus offers, I had an offer from this company called the Math Company. They had this thing called a triathlon or some contest in college where I came second, and they made me an offer. I chose to reject them because I did not like the job they were offering me. It was not something that interested me. I preferred to do something on the more application development side that was more of an analyst role. So I chose to reject them. Campus placement, I flunked everything until Confluent, so I didn't have many offers on campus. Was Amazon Luxembourg on campus or off campus? It was off campus. I approached a recruiter with a profile, and that got me a referral. So that landed me the interviews. When and how did you get into backend engineering? I actually started off as a front-end engineer. For the leave management project with my teammates and Shailaja ma'am, I did the front-end. I started getting into backend because I wanted to be full stack. It would be a good thing to be full stack because if you want to build your own website or you want to freelance, being able to do it end to end would be a cool thing to be able to do. So that's how I started getting into backend sometime after second year. How did I get into backend? Free Code Camp. All answers lead back to Free Code Camp and the Odin project. What do you do if your GPA is shot to hell? Don't worry about it. Do your best to bring it back up. But you give equal importance to building your skills. Your skills matter a lot, and GPA is matters, but don't worry about it too much if it's short to hell. Do your best to bring it back up. How much do hackathon experiences add to your profile? They may not add much to your profile, but they'll add a lot to your ability to code in intense situations and being able to come up with solutions. Profile, it depends on which hackathon you do. The Intel hackathon, obviously, it's a good thing. It's a good badge to have on your profile. But more than what it adds to your profile, it gives you experience on coding under pressure and coming up with solutions under pressure. Can freshers get back-end role? Yeah. Nothing like that. You can get any role that you have a profile for. What elective did you select in third year? Big data was one. AI was one. Blockchain was one, and deep learning. Yeah. So big data, AI, deep learning, and blockchain. How exactly do you identify and approach recruiters? LinkedIn. So whatever company you're interested in, go to their LinkedIn profile. You'll see a list of employees. Look for roles that say talent acquisition, university recruiting, or recruiter, or things like that, and just approach them and draft a good email or LinkedIn message that basically captures who you are as a person and as a developer, of course. If that's it.
Yeah, thanks, Sarang, for your patience answering so many of their questions. In fact, I'm now motivated to include many of these in their assignments. I think if we enforce them as part of the assignment, I think everybody will pretty much do it at least to some extent. So I will try and incorporate some of the suggestions that you have shared here and include it. One way is to push them and also self-motivated, but I will assure you that some of these aspects I will bring in.
Yes, ma'am. It was a pleasure to speak to the students, ma'am.
Thanks so much. Again, one more, because I think rest of you can shoot out an email to him. I think we'll stop here. Thank you, Sarang.
Yes.
All the best.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, guys.